Hello,
Okay.
Frankie. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. Of course, we're going to talk about your recent appearance on the BBC show I Can See Your Voice, but how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really well today, thank you. And yeah, it was a bit of a whirlwind. It was filmed ages ago, so it's weird that this is all coming up now. But yeah, I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you, and grateful for you taking the time to come on to chat today. But
Pleasure.
firstly, before we speak about the show, there might be some people watching who aren't as familiar with the format. Do you want to explain a little bit about that?
The format of the show?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I Can See Your Voice is a fun game show where you have two contestants who go on to guess whether there are good singers or bad singers, and you have a lineup of about six singers, and some are good, some are bad. If they guess good singers, they win £10,000. If they guess bad singers, then the bad singer wins the £10,000. And the panel of celebrity judges basically help them with just kind of guessing if they're good or tips and tricks if a singer is saying they're holding the mic in the right place, that looks like a good singer. So yeah, it's basically a bit of a guessing game and it's really light-hearted and fun.
It's a very fun show to watch on TV as a viewer. Yeah. So I imagine it was very fun to take part in.
Yeah, it was. There was so much involved. This was my third TV appearance, and by the second, I've done two with the same company who do castings and organisation of everything, and it was just so well organised and fun. We got to chat to the celebs as well.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, lots of fun to do. I didn't quite realize how much was done in the background. I had a little bit of an idea, but what you saw on TV probably took us around 7 or 8 hours to get ready,
Oh.
film. Yeah, so it's a lot that goes into a short period of time. And then there was lots of stuff done weekends before. So we went down and did lots of recordings. We did lots of rehearsals. We had to do counts for how long it took us to walk on stage and all that kind of thing. So yeah, so much goes on that you do not realize.
And of course, because I guess on the show there's the element of because you don't know who, because like there's certain aspects, isn't there, when the people who are trying to win the money can take a deeper look into the people who are up there, and you don't know who they're going to pick. So I guess do you have to get ready to film all of that stuff then,
Yeah.
in case it's you that's picked, even though it probably might not be you that is picked.
Yeah, so one of the first things that we did was the kind of look around your house, looking for like things that might say if you're a good singer or not. Um, and they sent us links on an app to download for like high quality camera for your phone. So it's like better settings for your phone camera. And you go through a lot of checkpoints. Like you write down things that you could show and they'll give you an idea. So they ask you questions about your life and like what you already have in your house. So yeah, we have to film all of that, and that was done over maybe a couple of days because we'd send a few bits and bobs, and you'd do your voiceovers as well. And if they liked it, then great. If they didn't, you'd have to refilm it all. And that was done on our own accord. And there was lots of COVID distancing rules when this was all done. So this was actually filmed August 2021, I believe. Yeah, so it was kind of just out of pandemic, so it was lots of social distancing. They were trying to not do lots of traveling with all the filming. Film crews all had masks and things as well, so it was all really, really safe. But then we also did the introduction bit, which is the very beginning where they introduce you, and that was all filmed for me in a gym. So I had to go down to London to film in a gym, and that was, go down overnight stay, go back. So yeah, all of those little things that you see on the screens have all been pre-recorded, and that is the stuff that I was talking about before, like all of the behind-the-scenes stuff that you don't think, oh yeah, they've had to film that as well.
So I guess it must take a lot of time in general.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was all done really quickly. I think more of it was quite sporadic, and the travel was the long part. So for me, I live in Newcastle, so it was three and a half
Yeah.
hours on the train down, then an overnight stay, and then it was the filming the next day. But for people who were in and around London, it was only maybe 15, 20 minutes, or maybe an
Like
hour
the
travel.
being in the air, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but for me, it was like a 3-day trip. Loved it.
Yeah, a nice little work trip to film for a TV show.
Yeah, it was good fun.
But what I wanted to ask, Frankie, I know you mentioned about a gym there. Do you want to explain a little bit about yourself and your job outside of the show?
Yeah, so my main job is I'm a personal trainer and now I'm studying psychotherapy to do psychotherapeutic counselling alongside. And I just got into that through, I think everyone kind of falls into their job at some point. Lots of people know what they want to do. I never did. My dad was an entrepreneur and I always thought I want to run my own business. And I never thought it would be in health and fitness. I actually struggled really badly with mental health and with an eating disorder when I was very young. So from the age of about 13 all the way up to 22 was my last relapse. And the only way that I could get help was doing some education on nutrition and also exercise. So, the NHS, the wait list was eight months, and I was
Yeah.
already in and out of hospital. So there was no help there. And my family couldn't afford private help. So that was my only option. And I went down corporate routes and did, event marketing, HR, graduate recruitment, all of that kind of thing. And I loved it, but it just didn't, there was something I wasn't getting from it. When you're really passionate about your work, I wasn't passionate about it. I didn't love it. I loved being around people. So I
Yeah.
actually moved home to be with my mum. That was a long time ago. That would have been like 2018, 2018, 2019. And on the side, just to get some money, I started personal training and using a qualification that I never thought I would actually use for a business. And I've just never stopped since. So I've just carried on.
Found your love for it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I love TV and I love doing stuff on the side. And yes, that is a hobby I would love to pursue. But for me, changing people's lives who I see really struggling and who come to me for help, that gives you a sense of fulfillment that you cannot get elsewhere. So yeah, it was a complete mistake, like accident, not a mistake, like an accident that I fell into it. But yeah, love it.
So of course, it seems that you do love your job, and I was going to ask, being a personal trainer is very different to singing, but it seems like you do love singing as well. So I was wondering, when did the singing element come into it for you? Like, when did you realise you could sing really?
I have always loved singing. So
Yeah,
from a very young age, my mum would have like Celine Dion and Kelly Clarkson in the car. So our commute to school was an hour or just under in traffic. So we would always have that on singing. And my sister would be like, "Stop it, it's too early." But yeah, me and my mum just loved singing together. And I would always idolize people on the telly. I loved Girls Aloud. I absolutely loved Adele. But I never thought I was good. Like, I was never one of the singers at school. I never had the confidence. And I think that's intertwined with my eating disorder. I just felt very self critical and never felt good enough. So I didn't even try. And then I think as well, there was a fear. I was bullied at school, and I thought if that's one more thing they can bully me about, and I loved it so much, I didn't want it to be ruined. So I never did anything in school with it. And it was only in lockdown where I started, kind of like you,
yeah.
doing a little bit more of what I loved. And I basically went to a therapist to help me with my mental health long term. Nothing to do with my eating disorder, more long term, kind of how do I stay well. And she said, "How much joy do you have in your life?" And I was like, "What do you mean joy?" And she was like, "Well, how many hobbies do you have?" And I was like, "Well, I love going to events for work and I like being with my clients." And she went, "No, what do you do for recreational fun?" And I was just like puzzled. So I started horse riding and singing and I loved it. And I just kept it going, started posting some stuff online, found an agent, and then she got me I Can See Your Voice. And I've just started taking it a bit more seriously, doing more open mics, learning guitar. I can already play piano and posting more on my TikTok and Instagram. So yeah, just then, young age.
Because I feel like you say though, singing is probably one of the things that you need the most confidence for, because
Mm.
the main thing is with it getting up on stage and singing in front of people and worrying about what they're going to think as well. So I can totally see where you're coming from
100%.
on that part.
As well, being on that hoop was terrifying. I only had one practice at that going up and down. And I honestly felt there was a part in the middle of the song where I thought I was going to go, "I'm going to fall." But I didn't. I just held it together. But it's so challenging. And you are constantly looking around at what people are thinking. I watch it back and I don't feel like I'm doing any facial expressions or like you can't tell what I'm feeling singing the song. And it's because I'm so busy looking at everyone and like, what do they think? Am I singing good? Am I in tune? And you can hear your voice in your ears.
Oh,
You
can
have it
you?
in your ears. So I'm like, that didn't sound in key. And then you've got so much going on. But yeah, when you get it right and when you get used to it, I think the first hurdle is just trying to do what you love and focusing on what you love about it. So I was always
Yeah.
focused on what people were thinking. rather than enjoying doing it. And I think that's probably how you feel with this, right? You're not
Yeah.
thinking about who's watching it at the minute. You're enjoying
Thinking
the
about doing a good episode and
yeah,
coming across well to people. Yeah.
yeah. But you just enjoy it, and that's why it works.
So it seems like you sort of found your love for singing in COVID, didn't it? When, of course, people couldn't do what they naturally do, and like you said about me, I did this in COVID, and I think lockdown, although it was bad, it sort of gave people another thing to do because the people did find things and find new things that they love and new things to do. Really, be creative almost.
Yeah, totally. And I think there has been so much devastation with COVID that people had lost their lives and lost their joy. So we have almost been forced into a place to find happiness because we're not happy. Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And for me, singing was always something I never noticed, but it was always something whenever I had a breakup or something, I would just sit and record covers of songs because it distracted me and I actually enjoyed perfecting the song. So through COVID, that was something I found I was doing. There was like music on, I would just sing in the kitchen. Or when I was training clients in classes on Zoom, doing lots of group classes, I did a couple for Protein World as well. I was singing, doing the class, and everyone was like, how have you got the breath? We're in the middle of a workout. And I was just like, I don't know, I'm just having a great time. But you do, like, if you're in the gym and there's no one there and the music is loud, you feel like you're in a concert, you want to sing, it releases endorphins. So yeah, I think I'm very lucky in the sense that it was around me. Music is always around me in the work that I do. So that's how I kind of fell into that bit as well. But yeah, some good has come from COVID. I agree.
because it's amazing how many people sort of, because I've spoken this about many guests actually, the way people find music is sort of like therapy and an escapism. Like if somebody's having a bad day, they just need to whack an album or a song on it and just like take them away and just like make them feel better, and everything that they've worried about is almost gone because it's like that escapism.
Yeah, and you know, if you get up in the morning and you put a song on, it sets your day. It's
Yeah,
what the song is, it fills the room, it changes the atmosphere. There's lots of studies at the minute about vibrational effects and how everything is energy. Everything is energy. An atom is energy. In quantum physics, it is energy. So when you're listening to music and it's sending sound waves and vibrations into the atmosphere, it's uplifting the atmosphere and it goes through you. The energy travels through you. And if you actually think about like body language and when you're listening to music, you are in a heightened state. So when you put that song back on, it subconsciously puts you back in that heightened state. Likewise, if you listen to sad, depressing music, you will feel sad and depressed.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it depends on
That's it,
what
isn't it?
song
Yeah,
you put on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally I try to avoid all of that kind of stuff. Really.
There's a time for it though, and it does
Yeah,
have a process. Like, you know, I went to a funeral a while ago and the songs that they chose were sad and quite depressing, but it also gave a huge sense of understanding and acceptance. And that can be really powerful as well. And then you lift it up with some nice music after to process. So there's a use for everything. And I think what I hear when people sing sad songs is they're singing about how they've come through it and what they were dealing with. So that's also a way that people can just relate. And we're humans, we want to talk, we want to relate, and we want to help each other. So yeah, there's a place for every type of music.
there's a time and a place. You're
Yeah.
definitely right. And I now want to speak about, of course, you mentioned how you had an agent who found you, I Can See Your Voice, but was it something that you really wanted to do when the opportunity came to you?
Yeah. So um, just before lockdown, I had gone through the selection process for Love Island and I was actually in a relationship, so I declined the opportunity. Then fast forward through lockdown, they were casting for the next Love Island, and one of my friends got in touch and said, I'm working with an agent, and she asked me, do I know anyone who would be interesting for Love Island? And I had just broken up with my boyfriend, and she knew because we were mates from uni. So she said, can I please put you forward? And I was like, yeah, I've already been in the selection process before, like, absolutely. So this agent got in touch and she said, you know, are you interested? And I was like, yeah, absolutely, like, love to, but am I too old now? Like, anyway, got through the first two bits of it. And then she messaged me saying, where do you see your career going? What would you like to do? And I said, well, I think Love Island would really help, but I am also wanting to find a boyfriend. Like, I'm sick of being single. And she said, well, what area would you like to go in? Where would you want to go? And I said, I don't really know. I just want to do some stuff that's taken more seriously. I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
negative stuff online about Love Island. And I think
Definitely.
I would be okay to deal with it, but it would have an impact, like massive. I would have
Yeah.
to work through that. And I've seen what it's done to some of the old contestants. So I said, you know, I think I'll probably, if I don't hear back, I'm not going to push it. And she said, well, I've got this other opportunity. And I snapped at it. I was so terrified because I'd never sang in public, ever. Like, the first time I sang in public was my sister's wedding, and it was only maybe a year before this aired. So she already gave me the opportunity before I'd sang in public for the first time. So I obviously snapped it up. I was like, I need to take it. This could be my big break. And then, just went through the process, and the whole way through I was just so keen, got everything done so quickly because I was like, it's such a good opportunity. But yeah, it was really good.
I mean, it is certainly a fun show, and it sounds like it's something you really were up for doing. And how long before filming of the show did you know you were going to be on? So did you have time to, like, if it was in COVID times, did you have time to, like, go online, film songs to, like, sort of get the confidence up and before you were singing in public for the first time, if you almost get me?
Yeah, so the timelines were, they reached out in, I want to say May, very early May of 2021. Was it 2021 or 2020? 2021, I think, last year. And through the whole selection process, you had to submit songs in, like, lots of different songs. Then you were selected, but there was still a big group. So if for any reason someone got leaked and it found out that they were a good or bad singer before the show aired, they can switch the person and refilm.
Really?
So you never know really until you're filming it if you're on.
Oh,
And I
wow.
did my, you know, in the introductions, and you do the this is smash hit, she's a personal trainer, so they filmed me in the gym. The first time I filmed that and went to London, the van with all of the equipment got broken into, and it stole all of the equipment. So all of the footage from my first filming had gone. So they rang me and they said, you know, the footage has been stolen. Unfortunately, this is a data protection issue. I have a right to tell you and just to let you know that stuff is out of our hands now. Obviously, I was fine with that. Like, there was nothing personal on there. It was just me training in a gym, basically. And I post that all over social media anyway, so doesn't really make a difference. And then they said, we need to film it again. So they came up and they filmed it again. And I think that was about a month later, 2 months later. This was an entire 9 months before the actual show aired. And they said, even though we filmed all of this, you still might not get on the telly. So
I bet you're thinking, I hope I've gone through all this effort. I hope I at least get on.
Yeah, I was, and I just wanted that experience of being on a set because it looks so different in real life. And but yeah, so I had maybe 4 or 5 months to go on stage at open mics and practice my song. Every 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you had to send another video of you singing the song, if you're a good singer, to check that you got all of the right arrangement and that you were hitting the notes and that it was going to be good. And I'm so glad I did that because it did sound good. And I've had so many people online saying I was miming, and I was not miming. So I'm like, did a good job. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, the time frame, it was quite long, and I did have enough time to get my confidence up for sure. But we weren't allowed to post anything. We weren't allowed to tell anyone we were on. We were under an NDA. So yeah. It ruins the fun if people know if you're a good singer or not.
Top secret.
Yeah. It was hard to keep a secret, but
I bet that's the hardest thing about a TV show. Yeah, keeping a secret.
yeah.
I want to now talk about your name, Smash Hit. Of course, it links to you being a personal trainer, but were you allowed to pick that name for yourself, or did the producer sort of look at what you did and then choose it for you?
Yeah, there's a big team that, like, obviously the executive producer makes all the final calls, but there was a lot of it's like not assistants, but they were like, these are the ideas that we've come up with. Do you like them? And it was very inclusive. They never just made a decision and I had to go with it. They were always asking, are you okay with this? Like the hoop thing, they said, please don't feel pressured to go in the hoop. If you don't want to go in the hoop, like we'll do what you've practiced. So they were really fantastic with that. But yeah, the name, they came up with 3. I can't remember what the other ones were. But because I did lots of boxing classes, it was Smash. And because I do a lot of hit training, it was Hit. And obviously Hit for music as well. So I thought
Yeah.
that worked really well. Very much explained my persona as a personal trainer, that's for sure. Um, Other things, so song choice, I sent them a few different recordings of me singing live certain songs, and they really liked the tone of my voice that matched well with the Lily Allen song, which is the Keen cover. And so I just practiced that and I felt comfortable singing it and enjoyed it. So yeah, they help you a lot along the way, but you get to choose as well.
So it sounds like the producers were very sort of like they did help you. Like it didn't, because like some shows you can imagine producers demanding what happens, but it sounds like they were very like relaxed and like came to you and asked, well, what do you want? And
I mean,
sort of, yeah,
it's not a singing competition, so it's not pitched in that way. It's very light-hearted, and if you feel comfortable and if you enjoy singing a song, that's going to come across on camera. So they were constantly saying, you know, do you feel okay with this? Is this what you enjoy? Do you feel comfortable with the song choice? Because it's not a competition. You're not trying to beat other people. You're just wanting to show your talent and have fun. So they just want to make sure that you're happy. But they also want to make sure that the audience get a good show. So they balanced it really well.
And on your appearance with all of the other people on the show, did you know how they, if they were good or bad, or were you waiting to for them to sing down the bottom?
I am not joking you when I say it was so top secret. I had
Was it
no clue who was on my show or who anyone was. We were not given any names. We were kept when we got to the hotel. So we were all coming from obviously different locations. Our
yeah,
trains were all organised to get in at different times. Our taxis were all organised, so we were picked up and dropped off at separate times, so we never bumped into each other. And once we were in our hotel room, that was it. You were in your hotel room. You were not allowed to come out of your room unless it was an emergency. So we had like dinner in our room, fittings for your clothes, like for your wardrobe. They came to your room. So there was no like bumping into people. What else? When we were actually there filming at the Maidstone Studios, we had our own dressing rooms. So there was 6 different dressing rooms for all of us, and the only time we saw each other was when we were stood on the podiums. That was the first time I met anyone.
really.
We weren't allowed to speak. I think we like spoke a few things, like laughed, and we're like, that was so good. But we didn't ask because it had been kept so top secret. It would have ruined the fun, and our reactions were just as important as everyone else's reactions. But no, it was a right laugh when people would go down. It was either whether they were good or not. And then once it was filmed, or once you had kind of shown your stage of truth that you were good or bad, there was an area in backstage where we had our own TV and we were able to like sit and chat and get to know each
Oh,
other.
really?
And so it was really nice. There was a guy called Mo
Right, yeah.
there, who does TikTok and has actually got a huge following on TikTok and Instagram. He's done really, really well. Such a nice guy. And as soon as we got back, everyone was just in fits of laughter. Like he had everyone in such good spirits, which was great fun. But it's really sweet because everyone stayed in touch as well. So when it
That's so you
aired,
made like a few friends from the show
yeah,
almost.
we
Yeah.
have. So
Yeah,
I
that's a good thing.
messaged, I think I messaged, one of the girls messaged me and said, are you watching it? And I said, yeah, I am. Are you? Have you got your family around? And then a couple of the others, like everyone who was on the podiums, we've all said like, oh, that was such a great show. Did you think you came across well? Did you enjoy it? So yeah, it's kind of brought us together. Like we're always going to be technically in each other's lives now, which is lovely.
Because you're all part of that experience together, aren't you? On like
Yeah.
on the same episode of the show.
Yeah, that's it. And we've all gone through the same thing. So yeah.
For you, Frankie, on your appearance on the show, what was the most nerve-wracking moment? Was it walking down the aisle to sing for the first time when you had to reveal yourself?
No, not at all.
Wasn't it?
That wasn't the nerve-wracking bit for me. You can probably tell from the show, the most nerve-wracking bit for me was talking to Paddy at the end.
Yeah.
So like after I've given my performance, you're not worrying about like if you're going to interrupt someone, if you're going to say the wrong thing because you're really excited and you're full of adrenaline. Um, and I just didn't want to come across wrong. Like, I didn't want to say the wrong thing, but the way that they've edited it, like, there's quite a lot of things that weren't in the show, and the way they've edited it, just they've made everyone look so amazing and made sure no one's kind of made a fool of themselves.
Yeah, that's a
Yes,
good
I think
thing.
the chatting bit was my biggest fear, but I think you've also just got to have that self confidence of like who you are, and I know that I'm a nice person. I know that I would never say anything detrimental, that I would ever mean anything with any cynicism. So, um, yeah, I think you just got to have some self confidence and self belief, and that's I think what I was lacking when I was talking to Paddy. I was like worried I was going to say the wrong thing or come across like I was boasting or something. So, yeah.
But I know what you mean because it's on BBC on a Saturday night, prime time slot, and then Paddy's
Mhm.
one of the biggest TV presenters out there. So it's going to be a nerve-wracking thing.
Yeah, not just that, but like there's snippets of it online now on TikTok that have got over 1 million
Yeah.
views with loads of comments, and the amount of influx of followers and messages that I've been getting, predominantly I'd say 95% are all really
Oh,
positive, which is fantastic. And I'm very grateful for that. I think that comes down to the type of show it is as well. Um, but yeah, you get a lot of people who have something to say. And I think that was a fear, which is why that was the most nerve wracking thing. The actual performance, I practiced the song so many times, I just knew that I wouldn't get it wrong and that I
yeah,
would hit the right notes, if that makes sense.
prepared.
Yeah. The hoop as well, the whole way through that song, I was like, I'm going to fall. So I think that was nerve wracking. But once it was done, it was done.
Yeah, and it's certainly come down to be a good experience. What
Fantastic.
what I wanted to ask you though, of course, there was a song you picked, which was a keen one, wasn't it?
It was the Keane remake. So Keane actually originally made that song, and then Lily Allen
Yeah.
did a new arrangement of that song as a cover for the John Lewis advert a few years ago.
Oh yeah, for the other year,
And
yeah,
that was the cover that
yeah.
I did.
And
Cover of a cover.
the cover of a cover, that's a good way of putting it. But I wanted to ask you, who are your favourite artists in general to listen to and sing to and
I,
cover the songs almost? Yeah. I know
I,
I seen an Oasis cover on your account because I'm a big Oasis fan, so
yeah.
that was a good one to see.
I would love to see Oasis live or Neil or the Gallagher's, but I have such a wide range of taste. I
Yeah.
love Coldplay. I love Pink Pantheress. I love doing Adele songs. Ella Henderson. So my actual audition, I had to sing Ella Henderson and Olivia Rodrigo. And Olivia Rodrigo, I don't have a pop voice, but I had to sing Driver's License, and that was really hard. Um, but then I also love like drum and bass. So
Yeah.
I'm so varied. And I like mixing it up. I like doing acoustic covers and piano covers because I find that that's the most calming and my voice goes better with that.
Yeah.
But then I like doing songs that people wouldn't expect to be an acoustic cover. So maybe like Pink Pantheress mixed with Coldplay, I think is the one that I love. But I love doing Arctic Monkeys is one of my faves.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
It's good to have a wide range of taste, isn't it?
Yeah, you need to know what suits your voice though as a singer. And
Yeah.
some artists or some songs like love Ariana Grande. Can I sing it? I think I can, but then when I hear myself back, I'm like, nah, you're definitely not a pop singer.
Because I think you will find that as a singer, won't you? Like your voice suits certain songs better than
Yeah,
others.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
literally comes down to the tone of your voice. You can't really, you can train it and make it better, but I will
It's
never
always
sound
that
like Lewis
natural.
Capaldi.
Yeah.
I will never sound like Kelly Clarkson. So it's probably a waste doing those kind of songs.
Yeah. So but you have got a singing account, haven't you, on Instagram if you want to tell the name of people
Yeah, I
listening to
have.
go and
I
follow.
have. I don't really use it as much. My singing is just Frankie G Clark underscore music. My main one I do have songs on is my Frankie G Clark profile on TikTok and Instagram. There's more on my TikTok. I've done lots on there because I feel like that's a platform where everyone just posts what they love,
Yeah.
and Instagram is my business. So there's a little bit of a crossover there. But yeah, if you want to hear my singing, definitely go there, or my YouTube, Frankie G Clark. Just on my YouTube, I've got loads of covers on there as well.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about now, Frank, is I know you said you got to talk to the celebrities. What was that like talking to the judges?
It was really nice because you know they're normal people, but when you see people
Yeah.
on telly, you think you know someone. but you don't, and you know how they're going to respond to certain situations, but you'd never know how they're going to respond to you. So when they came over and were chatting with us, it was like, wow, like they're not that person I know on telly. Like they are, but it's like it's happening to me. I'm not
Yeah,
watching them have a
yeah,
conversation with someone else, and that's quite a weird feeling. But at the same time, I know quite a few people who've been on telly, so I was quite used to that. But no, also friendly. Lots of time, Amanda is such a scream. She is hilarious. Like she was making us
shit,
laugh the
yeah.
whole time. She posted a lot of behind the scenes on her Instagram, I think, which are probably still there from August last year.
Oh yeah, I'll have
Just
to
they
check them
all,
out.
yeah, definitely do. But they are all so kind, polite, funny. They just wanted to make us feel at home. And it was nice that they actually had the time to come over and speak to us because they've started there as well. They've been worked their way up showbiz, so they probably can appreciate how uh, daunting it is being in
Yeah,
front of cameras for the first
absolutely.
time. And I thought it was really lovely that they wanted to make us feel comfortable. But yeah, they're exactly what you see on telly. What you see is what you get with them. They are very authentic. So yeah,
Is Jimmy as funny what he is as what he is on the
hilarious,
TV?
absolutely hilarious. Like we were told on the platforms, you've got to keep a straight face. I failed, absolutely failed.
Oh
Like all of us
yeah.
did.
For me, if I was on there, that would be the hardest part, keeping a straight face. I
Mm.
couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, it was a challenge, but I definitely failed. I just couldn't hold it in. But that was the whole thing. And there was also an audience there, which you don't see. They were
But
all
in the back, yeah.
yeah, there's like a back area where they were all there and you could just hear them laughing and that would just set you off as well. So it was such a good atmosphere. Like I would love to go back and relive that moment like forever.
I mean, you certainly did a great appearance on the show, and it's such a fun show to watch, in my opinion.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really fun to do.
And finally, Frankie, I just wanted to ask you before we go, what are your plans for the future? Do you want to stay in, like, obviously you're a personal trainer, but do you want to continue to do certain media bits in the industry and everything?
I would love to. I've done a few bits now. So I've done I Can See Your Voice. I did Secret Crush on ITV, and I've done Angels of the North on BBC iPlayer as well. And I also did some stuff on GB News, and I love it. I love being in front of the
Yeah.
cameras, and I feel it like lights up my passion. It's like a really big
Mm.
hobby of mine. I don't think I'll ever leave personal training full time. I love my clients and the connections you have with them. It does become like family. You know them so well, and you are almost someone's support system in a way. So I don't think I would ever leave that. I'm doing a psychotherapeutic counselling degree at the minute. So I'm now traveling more into therapy and helping people with their mindset and understanding themselves. But if I could get more media work, absolutely, I would do it. I would jump at the chance. I've had a few offers of things, which I can't talk about yet. Not sure if it's going to go ahead or not, but lots of fun if it does.
And Frankie, best of luck to you with that, and hopefully we will see you on a lot more things in the future. And thank you so much for coming on to chat today.
My absolute pleasure. You've been a very good host. I feel very welcome. So
Thank
thank
you.
you so much. And good luck with your podcast and your chats. I hope it brings you lots of success. I'm sure it will.